Goeiemiddag, good afternoon. Welcome to our beautiful country, South Africa. Welcome aan al die Suid-Afrikaners. Welcome to everyone watching abroad. Welcome to the lovely people from Switzerland, to the lovely team in Australia, to the lovely team in New Zealand, Mauritius, wherever you are watching from. Welcome to our Thursday Tjhoko Live. Today we are having the live a bit earlier because we have moved, as mentioned last week. And then Kaylee is attending a new school, and then the first school sports are happening today, so I promised I would not miss it. But this video will be available later to watch again, and it also will be available on our YouTube channel. Welcome to you all. Sit back, relax. I'm the instrument that will give hopefully some inspiration so that you can beautify something in your own space. Geniet dit saam met my. Ek gaan dit probeer doen in beide tale. Daar's baie navraag vir Afrikaans. We are just being considerate to everyone watching all over the world. So let's give this a go. Today I will be painting on a varnished surface. So I've moved and I will be unpacking boxes for the next year. So whenever you're in the area, you're welcome to come over for a braai and then just unpack 2 things out of a box, please. This, I actually forgot what hard work it is to move, and in the same breath opening a new store, so I am done with unpacking boxes. But I found this old piece of furniture that was actually in our very first house that we lived in just after we got married, and I never had a use for it again. When moving from house to house, you know that things fit into a specific space, but I do have space for this now in my main bathroom. But seeing that we're living in a coastal area, lighter colors are more trendy. So colors are also area specific. If you live in an area where you're used to beautiful canola, like in the beautiful parts of the Cape where there are canola fields, or in the Free State in South Africa where there are sunflowers, you want color in your space because that's the environment you are used to. Coastal areas, muted, softer colors. And then also, there are no rights or wrongs. You do what you like. We live in eclectic times where you can revamp your space in colors and in styles that you like. Feel happy in your own space. That's the first step. Okay, so I am going to work on an old varnished surface. Tips for varnished surfaces. Make sure your varnish is older than 6 months. And this is also important for something that has been oil treated, like linseed oil. What the varnish does, and oil treated surfaces, it takes time to cure, and then oil takes time to disintegrate. And you can't paint onto a surface, an oil treated or varnished surface, until that curing time has exceeded, or the disintegration time has exceeded. Else, whatever you paint on it will not be able to grip, or what happens to a newly varnished surface, you get excessive bleeding. Everything turns yellow and orange and brown as you start painting it, and nothing blocks that oil. Okay, so this is a very important tip. Make sure your varnish is older than 6 months, not newly treated oiled surfaces. Okay, then with Tjhoko, what we recommend to do is to clean your varnished surface properly with lacquer thinners. So make sure you wear gloves. Make sure there's enough ventilation in your space. Make sure you clean properly. This is key to success. I have done it already, just to speed up the process. And then the next step, I'm going to start painting. I always had a dream, and later we will continue with dreams, to have a store close to the ocean and to be painting in my store with bare feet. So for the next few, hopefully years, you won't be seeing me wearing shoes with these lives. Okay, so the color I'm using is David. Okay, Tip. If you are working on dark wooden surfaces like this and you're changing the color to a very light white, so to a white color, a yellow or a red. In the paint industry in general, these are weaker pigments. Even if we paint on canvas, we first apply a medium grey underneath before we paint with those colors with acrylics on canvas. The same will apply to painting on a very dark wood and have a transition to a white, a yellow or a red. So in Tjhoko, my base coat would be stone wash. So I would first paint the wood in stone wash just to have better coverage with my white I want to paint it in now. I don't have stone wash here. I have finished up my paint, so I'm just going to apply more coats to get the coverage. The amount of coats I have applied on the already painted area, 3 coats. Very important. Baie belangrik. Wag altyd tussen laag vir jou verf om deeglik droog te word. Very important. Wait in between coats for your paint to dry properly before you start applying the next coat. Else, you will see streakiness, you will see lines. The wet paint underneath wet paint will be removed. So if you paint onto wet paint, you will actually remove the paint that hasn't cured and dried yet. Next step is don't paint with a dry paintbrush. That's also when you will see streakiness. So I'm applying a generous amount of paint onto my paintbrush, and I will paint those top sections now, and I start painting. So the brush I'm working with is an enzyme brush. It's the same as with makeup. I always touch my brushes to feel, are they good quality, are they soft? Because then it feels more even on your skin, and just pretend that you are working on a piece of skin. So your brush needs to be soft bristles, lovely to the touch, and that also influences the quality of your paintwork. Yaku is my camera guy, assisting me, my son Yaku, behind the scenes. Okay, Yaku, I don't know if you want to zoom in, just so that the painting, just move closer with the camera, Yaku. So I'm applying a generous coat on my surface. This is the first coat. What I do in those areas, I dab, 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 just to make sure it reaches in between all those indents. Nou belangrik is, dat jou oppervlak bepaal die toerusting waarmee jy gaan werk. Groot, plat oppervlaktes, mohair roller. So large, flat surfaces, a mohair roller works like a dream because it has small, very short hair. You get synthetic ones, so it's not animal skin as such. But it's actually meant for enamel applications. So a roller, 225 millimeter in length, and it has short hair, large flat surfaces. It works like a dream. You can't paint with a paintbrush this size, large flat surfaces. It will take you forever, and you will get an uneven finish. So your surface determines the tool that you will use for painting. Medium-sized surfaces, 110 to 160 millimeter foam roller works best. And then for this, an enzyme brush, and this is a 50 millimeter, 50 millimeter, works like a charm. Okay, tip. When we sand a surface before we start painting it, and especially a varnished surface, we unleash the oil that is absorbed in that wood, and we break the barrier that keeps the oil inside the wood so that that oil can breathe to the surface. Then something like bleeding occurs most of the time. That's when you start painting, like on wet varnish, that you should never do. But sometimes when we sand furniture and you decide, oh, now I want to paint it, I don't like the sanded finish. Remember, with Tjhoko, you don't need to sand. We recommend on a varnished surface, clean just with lacquer thinners. But sometimes it does happen that you sand. And then that seal on the surface of the wood is broken, oil seeps through, that's been absorbed in that wood over years, and it reaches and it seeps through the paint. We have also experienced it with enamels, with PVAs, even before Tjhoko existed. So with Tjhoko, if that happens, so you will see yellow, I don't see it now here, but it can happen, and we will have a tutorial on that where we show step by step how to treat it. If it does happen, what we do is we paint one coat, because then you will immediately see bleeding, yellowish stains on your surface. You allow for your Tjhoko to dry 4 hours, and then you paint undiluted clear glaze, 2 to 3 coats, half an hour apart from each other, onto the surface where the stains occur. Wait overnight, and then paint with Tjhoko on top of the glaze again the next day. We will have a tutorial on that. Okay, so I'm just painting, and then for the top section it actually takes longer. I'm not going to do the entire frame. Where did I buy my dangery? Okay, everyone, I'm right next to the raw store. So I told them actually today I'm their biggest model. It's a beautiful clothing store right next to our store. This is free advertisement for Raw, and I bought it from them. Okay, so I dab with my brush in between just to make sure that all the wooden sections are covered. Make sure you finish it off. Jaco, is it clear on screen what I'm doing? Do you want to just move in with the stand? Okay, now I'm going to paint the top section. And I will do the same. So yeah, it's going to require some patience, geduld. And then I'm also having smaller areas on the inside that needs paint. So here I'm using a very soft bristled artist brush. Once again, my surface, the area that I'm painting determines my tool, and I make sure that I reach everywhere. I have mentioned it before, but drying time in between coats are key to success. I am not going to apply glaze on this frame. This is a decorative item. Tjhoko has a building sealant. I am just going to hang it up in my bathroom and use it. I do, however, want to show what I'm going to do next on the detail of the frame. Okay, so this hopefully makes sense, and I will now afterwards complete the entire frame and show what it looks like. I'm now going to focus on that area. So to add some technique to the surface, there are 3 ways of doing it. Just pretend that it wasn't wood underneath, maybe plastic. For plastic, we sand first, clean with lacquer thinners, then paint, but you get beautiful plastic frames. There won't be a beautiful wooden finish underneath, and therefore I will show you a different technique to the sanding technique. But for this frame, I have wood underneath, and I just want to emphasize the wood and the detail on my wood. So my paint isn't completely dry yet. So you will wait for your paint to dry and then just sand. But sanding is a very quick way, especially on detail, to create a beautiful finish. Die grindskierpapier waarmee ek werk is 'n 100 grind, 100 grit sanding paper. You can use an 80 grit, 200 grit. There's no rights or wrongs. And this is the technique I'm going to use to distress my frame with. I will afterwards show what it looks like, but so that you just know how I accomplished the look. If you want to attempt this yourself, you know what I did. Okay, let's pretend that this is not wood underneath. And I want to give it some, just accentuate the detail. What technique will I use? Especially on something like a plastic frame, or you get those polystyrene frames. Okay, so accentuate detail on something where there's not a solid surface like wood underneath. I'm going to use a dry brush technique. So I'm using the color Sheriff Stone. You can use anything you like. I'm just going with a natural look and more of a muted look. What I do is I've dipped the tips of my brush in Sheriff Stone. I'm removing excess paint on a dry cloth. It's a dry brush technique, so your brush is dry, paint evenly distributed everywhere. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush over the areas where there's detail. And Tjhoko, you need to tell me if it's nicely visible. Okay, let me make it a bit darker. Let's go over there. I can just wipe away and brush. So there is a dry brush technique. It gives the effect as if something was sanded, but in essence, it's just little paint, little effort, and you get a very sanded finish. Kan jy dit mooi sien? Okay. All right. More sanding can happen here, and I can also use both techniques for my frame. I can also leave it just white as is. Remember, I'm the tool to give inspiration, and you can do what you like best. Okay. And I'm going to finish it off unpack a box, put it in my bathroom. I'll style it. The final pics might only be available in 2027, but I will eventually get there. I'm just going to sand these areas as well with a dry brush technique, just because I'm in the moment and I'm enjoying myself. So I'm doing it very subtly. If I want to make something white again, remember you can change anything. I can paint on top until I am completely satisfied. This is 101, how to paint onto a varnished surface. This is me, Nadine, and this is me saying goodbye and wishing you a week filled with dreams. Never stop dreaming. Remind yourself of it. Teach your children to dream, to have goals, and don't sleep on them. Work hard and make them happen. I wish you all the most creative and dreamful week. Beautiful dreams, beautiful visions, and then I will be back next time with more inspiration. If you need any assistance, please let us know. We are here to help. We will never leave you with a problem. So ask and we will assist. Our support email is support@tjokopaint.co.za. Pop those questions and we'll assist you to make your space something to be proud of. Love you all. Stay safe, stay happy. Dream till next time. Bye.